Did you know that your brain listens to organs and that its go-to advisor is actually your gut? Hi, I'm Bernice Hunt and I am a brain health specialist. I work with women just like you who are starting to notice a few memory challenges, and I help you to stay sharp so that as you age, you can still travel, have fun with your grandkids, and experience new adventures without missing a beat. As a public school teacher for over 30 years, I've had my share of introverts and extroverts and bullies in the classroom. And you know, the bullies and the extroverts, they're pretty predictable. You pretty much know what they're going to do, but it's the introverts that can surprise you. They could be the last person you might expect to do something, but when you put them in that position, wow, they become fantastic, totally unexpected, but tremendous. And so we want to talk today about the gut microbiome because it can be a little unassuming at times, but you don't want to play it short. Now, did you catch my last video? A few days ago, I did a short video on the brain-gut connection, and you can find it still on my Facebook page or on my YouTube channel. But today I want to go a little deeper, and I want to talk about exactly how your gut actually helps your brain and how you can hurt your gut and thereby be hurting your brain. Okay, so like I said, the gut is like in an advisory position. It's like second in command. Some people even call it the second brain. And what affects your gut affects your brain. And what affects your brain can also affect your gut. Did you know that 90% of the serotonin that is made is produced in your gut? Yeah, and there are 100 million nerve cells in your gut lining. And that 70% of your immune system is in your gut. Yeah, and that the gut and your brain, they talk back and forth all the time. But most of the talking is the gut talking to your brain. Okay, so you have the gut responsible for a lot of other things other than just digestion. Yeah, it affects your liver, it affects your skin, it affects your immune response, it affects your bones, it even affects your body fat. So there's a lot going on with your gut other than just digestion, which is very important, but there's a lot of other things that it's doing. There's a very close relationship between your brain and your gut. It's like they're married, like they're one, like they're a team. And you know what they say? Happy wife, happy life. I say a happy gut won't mess your brain up. So if your gut is happy, your brain is going to be in a happier state. So that's basically what we're talking about today. So don't think that the gut is a pushover just because you can put anything down there and eat anything and you think it's not going to say anything. Those little microbiomes, you know, they can't do too much to me. Don't think that. There's going to be some consequences for things that you do to your gut because you want to treat your gut well. You want to have your gut have plenty of good bacteria in it, and you want your gut to be protected from and be in balance with good versus bad bacteria. And those things are very, very important for your gut, which means it's important for your brain. So now you might want to know, how does the gut help your brain? Let's talk about serotonin. Did you know we said that 90% of the serotonin, and that's that happy feel-good hormone, makes you feel good, 90% of that is produced in your gut. And that affects your mood. That's what keeps you calm and relaxed. And if you are not treating your gut bacteria right and they're not able to produce the right amount of serotonin, guess what? You're subject to be depressed, to be anxious, to have those mood swings. And that's coming because your gut is not producing enough serotonin. So that's really important. Another thing serotonin affects is your body clock, because serotonin is what is used in making melatonin. And melatonin, of course, is a hormone that signals your body when it's time to go to sleep. So if you're not producing enough serotonin, if your gut's not producing enough of that, it can't be making enough melatonin, and that's going to affect your sleep, which of course is going to affect your brain, because that's when your brain does all its repair work. So that goes all tied in with your gut. The other thing is another hormone called your cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And when your gut is healthy, the level of those stress hormones are reduced when you have a healthier brain. And so, of course, if your stress level is reduced, you're going to be able to sleep better. You're going to be, a lot of things are not going to be affecting you the same way. And so you want that cortisol level to be down. But that can only happen when you have a healthy gut. Okay. The other thing we're going to talk about a little bit is your immune system again, because like we said, it's based in your gut. 70% of it is based in your gut, and a healthy gut will make your immune system operate more efficiently. And you know that the intestinal tract, when things come in your body, they're in the intestinal tract, and it's your body, but it's not your body. It's like, I think of it like, the movie, The Wizard of Oz and the Yellow Brick Road. Follow the yellow brick road, and they were going to Oz, right? Now, the yellow brick road was not the city of Oz. It's how they got to the city of Oz. Okay, so when you put things in your intestinal tract, it's taking those foods, that nourishment into your body by going through the lining, the wall of the intestinal tract. So when you digest the food and everything, it secretes the nourishment through into your bloodstream, and then it excretes, it gets rid of the waste, the things that you don't need, okay? So it is like the gateway, and it's like protecting and controlling the things that get into your bloodstream and not. And that's why it's had so many nerve cells there, and it has such your immune system on there, because it's responsible for making sure what's supposed to get into your body per se gets there, but it's also making sure that what's not supposed to get into your bloodstream will not get into your bloodstream, okay? And so your immune system has to be working efficiently, okay? And so you need a healthy gut, or it's not going to be working right, okay? So you need a healthy gut regarding your immune system. Now, also, we talked about your quality of sleep, which is very, very important to your brain, because that's when your brain is doing all of its work, all right? And so your gut is indirectly affecting that, because it is pumping out that serotonin, that melatonin, those things that you need. Okay. Also, your sleep has to do with your weight management. So if your gut is not pumping out the stuff that you need to have a good quality of sleep, it actually affects your weight management, because researchers tell us that if you don't get proper sleep, the next day you have cravings for stuff you should not be eating. Sugar, fat, and they say that you add an average of 300 more calories onto that daily intake that you had, and they're not good calories. They're from stuff that's full of sugar and full of fat. So if your gut is working healthy and keeps your sleep, in good order, and you get the proper sleep, then when you wake up, you won't be craving all of those things. So you see how that plays all into each other. So that's reasons why we have to help our gut. And like I say, we want to treat it well. We want to keep the good bacteria in force, plentiful. That's right. And we want to keep that balance between the good and good. Okay, good and bad bacteria. Okay, so what are some of the ways that we hurt our gut, thereby hurting our brain? Because they are connected. Okay, first of all, there's a lot of stuff that we get too much of. I'm not saying that you need to cut it out entirely, but you're overdoing it, and it's overbearing for your gut bacteria. One of them is red meat. Okay, red meat has something in it called carnitine, and we produce it ourselves. So if we produce it ourselves and then you eat the red meat, you're getting extra. And if you keep eating red meat, you're getting extra, and it's too much of it is irritating for your gut bacteria, and they get overwhelmed and they can't operate efficiently. So you don't want to get too much. So I'm not saying that you should stop eating red meat. That's on you. But at least consider having a couple of days a week that you're not eating meat, that it's a plant-based day, so that your gut bacteria have time to recover. because they can recover. But if you're constantly throwing the meat at them, every day, 2 or 3 meals a day, then it doesn't have time to recover. Okay, so you want it to have time to recover from what you did, and it will if you give it a couple of rest days. Okay, so that's just a suggestion. Another thing is your dairy, because not all dairy is good for your gut. Now, you have the fermented dairy, like you have the yogurt and you have the kefir and that stuff that is good for your gut. Your gut does thrive on that. But the unfermented dairy, like your cheeses and most of your cheeses, and like your milk, you may not want to overdo that. Okay, so that's not actually good for your gut. So please limit yourself on those things. Another thing is caffeine, and I know caffeine has a slightly good component to it, but do you know caffeine is a stimulant? And what I found out, I didn't know this, what I found out was because it is a stimulant, it speeds up your intestinal tract also, and it flushes or forces food quickly through your intestinal tract, and it may take it through too quickly, which ends up being a not so good thing. So limit your caffeine so you don't have the food just rushing through your system before it's had time to properly digest and be absorbed and that kind of thing, okay? So caffeine's another thing. Now, y'all know about alcohol, right? Some of you don't like to talk about alcohol, but you need to know about alcohol because it's not good for a lot of stuff, and not for your brain, and not for your gut. It's dehydrating, it's inflammatory, and it is just not a good thing for you to do. So please limit, if you're not going to want to eliminate it, period, limit your alcohol consumption, because that's not a good thing for you. Also, the other thing is processed foods, okay? Processed foods are not your friend. Processed foods feed the wrong bacteria that's in your gut, okay? Because it has, the sugar, the salt, and all that kind of stuff, fat in it. And it's also depleted of a lot of the nutrients because they processed it. So it's not really doing the nourishment that it should be doing any longer. And it's doing a lot of other things that it should not be doing. So you want to stay away from the processed foods as well. Did I catch everything? I think I did. Okay, let's go on to fried foods and artificial sweeteners. Okay. Fried foods, they call that the fast track to bad health. The fast track to bad health. Fried foods, because of two things. One of them is because of the processed oil that you use to fry it with, right? And that has been chemically changed, and the chemical change that has occurred is bad for your good bacteria. Okay, so you want to stay away from that as well. Also, that they say fried food is harder to digest than if you're just eating the fresh food, okay? So it takes longer to digest, so you're working your digestive system more than you really need to if you're eating other kinds of food. So fast foods are not good for you. And artificial sweeteners. I know people go around and around with that, but artificial sweeteners, and what the word that stuck out to me when I was reading about this, artificial sweeteners, transform. And so I thought of the word transformers, more than meets the eye. Okay, transformers. They transform your good bacteria. They change it into something else. I call it zombies, okay? And if those zombies get into your bloodstream, they can wreak havoc in your body. They were talking about sepsis. They were talking about gluten insensitivity. Yeah, they were talking about organ function and stuff. And so it does, if it gets through there, it does that. And the artificial sweeteners are not good for a number of reasons, but they're not good for your gut bacteria because it transforms the good ones. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so antibiotics we all know about. So go through that quickly. Antibiotics kill everything, right? So that's the problem. They don't kill the good, the bad, and the ugly. They're going to kill everything. And then when they do that, it's going to take a while to replenish your gut bacteria, okay, to get it back up to snuff again, to get it back up to normal again, because it's done wiped out everything, okay? So that's the problem with antibiotics. So you can be careful with that. And then the thing that a lot of people do is they neglect doing the good stuff, the good things that the bacteria like. They neglect to do, like drinking a lot of water. Yeah, like prebiotics, probiotic foods, fermented foods. Yes, fermented foods, fiber, those things that are very, very good. What I was talking about, starch, the resistant starch, which is also very good for your large intestine. It doesn't get digested until it goes down there, and then it's very feeds that part of your intestine. So it's very good for that. So the things that are good for your microbiome, you should not neglect doing that, because you want to keep them plentiful. You want the good bacteria, because this may be a little graphic, but anyway, when you go to the bathroom, waste go out, but a lot of bacteria go out as well. And so the bacteria, those good bacteria and bad bacteria, they don't live forever in your system. They get flushed out, or they die, or they get flushed out, and so you have to replenish them. And so you want to eat to keep them strong, and you want and have them reproduce, and you also want to replenish them with reinforcements, because they're getting flushed out. They're dying and they're getting flushed out. Okay, so you have to do those probiotic things, even though you may gross you out or whatever. You need to do those things as well. And of course, you know what the water is going to do for you. Okay, all right. So those are the things you don't want to neglect. The other thing was exercise. Don't neglect exercise. You don't want to get excessive, but you do want to exercise, because exercise actually enhances the production of your good bacteria. You grow more good bacteria in your microbiome through exercise. And exercise also helps with your digestion, which you know, and your elimination, which you probably know. Exercise does that. It also strengthens your gut lining, okay? And it enhances your immune system. It does so many things. They call exercise, the fountain of youth. It does so many things to all parts of your body, and your gut bacteria are no exception, okay? So when you stop doing the things that are going to hurt your gut bacteria, and you start doing the things that are going to help your gut bacteria, you'll not only have a healthy gut, but you'll also have a healthy brain. Yes. Did you know that my master classes are starting back up? They start up next week again. And so if you have not signed up for a free master class, you want to know about some things that you can do that won't cost you any money to make yourself have a better brain, sign up for the masterclass. I'll leave the link, or you can just go to my website, keepyourbrainsharp.com, and you'll see the registration site there as well. But your brain's destiny is in your hands. So I hope I see you there.